If you ever have an opportunity to visit the Holy Land, go to Capernaum. It's a fishing village on the Sea of Galilee, which was the base of Jesus' ministry in Galilee. Much of that town has been uncovered by archaeologists in recent years, and you can see the black basalt stones of houses from his time and the foundations of a synagogue where Jesus probably taught and prayed. It's a fascinating place. Capernaum was Jesus' home after he came from the Jordan River where he was baptized. And nearby, along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he called Peter and his brother Andrew, James and John to follow him. And on the Sabbath day, they went into the synagogue where he taught them, and all were amazed at his teaching. And that same remarkable day, he drove out an unclean spirit from a man in the synagogue. But the day doesn't end in the synagogue, however. Mark's gospel says they left the synagogue and went to the house where Peter and Andrew lived, a short distance away. Now, in recent years, Franciscan archaeologists have identified the location of what they call Peter's house, among the houses closely packed together. House is actually a compound where a number of families live together, and there's a church standing over it now. Peter's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and Jesus approached her and took her hand and raised her up. And then the fever left her, and she waited on them. Rembrandt drew that miracle in one of his drawings, a beautiful drawing. She has a fever. Now, maybe this doesn't compare with some other miracles of Jesus, like the cure of the lepers or the blind and the deaf, raising the dead, but still we know the flu can take out a lot from you, doesn't it? And Jesus took her by the hand and helped her up, and the fever left her, and she waited on them. That final phrase, "and she waited on them," says a lot. Peter's mother-in-law was one of those who cooked their meals, washed and mended their clothes, fussed over them when they came home, wanted to know what happened that day, tried to protect them when too many people were knocking at the door. He's a cook, a cleaner, an advisor, gatekeeper, supporter, much more. We all know what it means when somebody like her waits on us. But there's more here. It's a Sabbath day, don't forget. The day for a beautiful big Sabbath meal that Jewish families celebrated together. The biggest meal of the week. It was one of those things that kept Jewish families together. And the women were in charge. Peter's mother-in-law was probably one of the most important women in that house. In John's Gospel, Jesus begins his ministry with a miracle at Cana in Galilee, where he turns water into wine at a wedding feast. Obviously, he recognized the importance of two people getting married. In Mark's Gospel, can we say something like that is there in the miracle that Jesus performs for Peter's mother-in-law? He recognizes how important Peter's mother-in-law, people like her, are. You can't get along without them.